Hi, we are back with new issues from Marvel and DC. Check it out. Superman, Avengers. Find out my thoughts right now. Will these things make good film and television shows in the future? Find out right now. All right, everybody, we are back with another episode of Will These Comics Make Good Film and Television Shows? With your host, Frank Zanca. I am an award-winning screenwriter and a working line producer. Recently moved to Atlanta from Hollywood, which is becoming the hub of production. And I just went to a Cinegear event, and yeah, plenty of people. I just saw the Mandalorian volume wall and all this other stuff. It's really good stuff. I'm looking forward to working here when the strikes finally lift. But anyway, let's start off with Superman. This is number 6. So not too happy with the price, where we have a 20-page book for $5. But I am enjoying this. The storyline, although I really miss the Jimmy Olsen and Livewire thing. They have a relationship going on, and I was really hoping that they were going to touch on this, but they didn't. So Lex Luthor is in prison, and he basically gave LexCorp to Superman to use, and he called it Supercore or something like that. So all the employees have little Superman logos on them and all this other stuff. So Superman finds a lower level, and he finds out there's a prison in there, and he unleashes this person that's got chains on them, so they are called a chain. Very original stuff there. Lois is now taken over for Perry White in the Daily Planet, and she's not having a good time there either. So she's having a little bit of problem kind of connecting all the dots. So that's basically the storyline here. So we start out with him going through surgery, and he's got in a coma. The artwork is not as good as it was in the previous issues, but it's still pretty dynamic. And so Mercy is his contact over there. So we have there's Lois going la 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 la. She doesn't want to hear anybody. It's funny. And Superman visits LexCorp, and there's Mercy, who again is his contact there. She's got a metallic arm or something like that. But anyway, they find this cube that's all wrapped in chains, and then Superman releases that person, who then attacks him because he thinks he's aligned with Lex Luthor. And there's what the character design looks like. It almost reminds me of Superman from Flashpoint, where he was, needed, which happened in the Flash movie also, where he needed sunlight because he was all emaciated. But anyway, so then the guy kind of stands over the city, and that's the end of the issue. So there wasn't a whole lot going on here for $5. I don't know. I like what's going on. I'm not a huge Superman fan, but I like what's going on here. But the price is just killing me. Now, will it make a good film and television show? Yeah, I mean the Lois and Superman and Lois TV show was great. They did a really good job with that show, and having these other things where she's taking over the Daily Planet, and Lex. They didn't really deal with Lex in the Superman and Lois show. I feel like that character is almost left out, and it would have been a good. They brought in, and he almost looked like a biker. The Lex Luthor they brought in. That was a bad move in the Superman and Lois show. This is a way better Lex Luthor in here than it was in that show. So yeah, I like the dynamics, and I like the Livewire thing with Jimmy Olsen. So I'm going to say yes so far, but I don't know if I'm just going to keep continuing paying $5 for Superman. I don't know. I got to think about that. All right, so moving on to Titans. So this book has started out. I'm not a huge Tom Taylor fan, but this book started out with the Flash being shot, and as he's dying, he's going back. He went back in time to warn them that he was being shot. So they're trying to protect him in this, and they're all going up against Brother Blood or whatever the New Blood syndicate is, or whatever you want to call it, the cult. And they want to keep him in the background because they're afraid he's going to get hurt. But the artwork continues to be really good in this, I think. Some people don't like it, but I think it's very cinematic. And, Gar is like, no, it's not going to be what you think. These guys are not going to be as bloodthirsty, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, no. And they see the sacrifice about to happen. And he's like, yeah, well, that's disappointing. So he and Nightwing go down there, and they rescue the woman that was about to be sacrificed. And the Flash shows up with the rest of them, and he's like, yeah, you need to stay in the back. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And, Gar is there even though he refused to join the team. And there's some good action sequence here with the fight scene. And I do like the little splash that they did here with them all attacking at once. So that was all good. And then they released the guy that they thought was, being the leader. He's like, no, this is not what I had. And I really like Donna Troy's face there. You can see that. She's an underutilized character anymore. But anyway, the old owner there, he's like, no, I was reforming everybody, and it wasn't my fault, and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, the Flash finds a meteor, and he brings it back to them. Don't you? And then we find out that the guy that's not very reformed, and he's controlling Gar with these little tendrils coming out of his mouth, and whatever. So I'm liking this so far. I was very disappointed with the Titans TV show for a lot of reasons, and I think this would be kind of cool. I like the idea of the Flash going back in time and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna die," and then them trying to change the timeline. So I like that. So I'm gonna say yes to Titans. I just wish I've seen a really good Titans show yet, and I just really haven't, or movie for that matter. But the problem is doing a movie on a team. They were able to pull it off with Guardians because they introduced one character and then they went to the next character. So it was almost like Wizard of Oz. We started out with Dorothy and her plight, and then you picked up the other characters as you went. Guardians did the same thing. We started out with Quill, and then we picked up the other characters as we went. And then they all kind of jive together as a team. That's what you'd have to do with Titans. You'd have to start out with something from one of the characters, which preferably would be Dick, and then you'd have to pick up the other characters and have them join as a team. That's the only way that works. And that was, I think, the problem with the original Suicide Squad, is that they already started out as a team, so you weren't able to generate character and pick them up. And I think that's the only way to do that is unless you have them like the Avengers, where they all have a separate movie. So moving on to the Avengers by Jed MacKay. I know a lot of people have been liking this. I have not. I don't like the direction this is going. So for some reason, so we have, this is not Captain America. This is Carol Danvers, which I'm a fan of Captain Marvel. She's leading this thing. We have Falcon Cap, and we have Iron Man and Black Panther, Thor, and I always like Scarlet Witch and Vision being together. So for some reason, she tells the street level characters, meaning Black Panther and Falcon Cap, he's never going to be Captain America. He's just going to be Falcon Cap. And because you still have Steve Rogers out there, so it doesn't really work. So anyway, she has them for some reason go up into space onto this floating spaceship with a city. So it's like a smart city up there. So she lets the street level characters go up there. Meanwhile, the godlike characters that can fly and whatever else are not in there, and they want to blow the place up. They're looking to blow up the city and then escape through like a portal. Well, if that doesn't work, they're stuck up there. Meanwhile, you could have had that very easily done by Thor or Captain Marvel, and they would be able to, fly in space without dying. So logically, it makes no sense. And each one of them is fighting these city creators or whatever we want to call it. So, here's Vision. And you notice that who's on the cover, Scarlet Witch, he's not in this book at all. So Vision's fighting this guy, and I'm dropping stuff on the floor. And meanwhile, Black Panther and the whole thing is all one conversation with the city. And he's like, I'm being used, blah, blah, blah. And, this continues as the fight with the Vision. I think kind of cool, actually. I haven't found so much to be cool about. But, this is them having the conversation with the city. There on that page there. And that's all it really is a big conversation with the city. They try to blow it up, and then they're like, no, you can help us. And so the Vision's fighting, and Captain Marvel is fighting this creature, and then it goes back and forth with the conversation. That's the entire book. And that's pretty much the end of it. Here's the Vision continuing to fight. It's pretty cool, but there's nothing going on. And the guy that Captain Marvel was fighting just literally walks away from her. And that's pretty much the end of it. And Falcon Cap, and they all say, no, at the end. Hell no, hell no. That's the significant ending, the cliffhanger ending of this book. Everybody's saying no and hell no. Yeah, it's like that. So, yeah, this book is just not ever going to see the light of day this kind of storyline is never going to be translated into film or television. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's not working in comics, and it's sure not going to work in a movie and a television show. Sorry. So I'm kind of waiting for that storyline to end, so maybe we can get on to another one. I like the team, but the team is just not doing anything. And, Scarlet Witch is literally in one panel in the entire book. Why have her on the cover? It makes no sense. All right, so now we're going on to our independents. This is Sacrificers #2. This is by Rick Remender. This is not a book I would normally pick up, but it is kind of interesting. So we start out with like these blue bird creatures from whatever planet, and the father is a complete dick to his son because the son is going to be sacrificed. So he doesn't want the family to be attached to the guy at all, which is kind of heartless. And he beats the kid every time the kid wants to, try to be part of the family or even be eating, because they don't really feed him. They feed him like once a day if he's lucky. And they leave him out in the barn. And then when they come to collect him, the father tries to stick up for him, but not very much. So the kid is taken with a whole bunch of other kids, and they're chained up and marched in a big line. And they pick up one orca type of creature who comes willingly and basically puts her hands out and says, I think it's a her. I don't know. It's an orca looking thing. So she puts her hands up and, they bind her. And then they continue marching them along into, the Arctic and all this stuff. And you have these kids that are they're human looking. Here's like the orca creatures. And the human creatures are, I guess they were treated so badly that they just want to treat everybody else badly. But this, this blue bird creature really never got to live. So any little thing that happens to it, he's kind of happy about it. I get it. so they're given very little food, and the orca creature is brought some other foods and offers it to them because she feels that uh, they're going to be given, a whole bunch of more stuff when they reach the end of the line, and you know, and then the human creatures just beat the crap out of the orca creature for really no reason. Uh, and here's them going through, this Arctic wasteland and all this stuff. And finally, they get to the end of the road. This creature is actually kind of cool. Um, Beckoning them to move on. And very little art on this page. I mean, you don't have to pay anybody much for that. Just give me a whole bunch of black. The inker is going to go to just pour some ink on that. I don't know what the hell. But anyway, so the black leads into the reveal, and the little orc guy says, "Told you, it's going to be like a smorgasbord paradise thing. We're not going badly." And for all they know, they're being fattened up for something else. But there's like what didn't get touched on here that I found was an interesting storyline is that there's a sun god that literally turns the sun on, and he has an illegitimate daughter who wants to prove herself, right? And we didn't get anything into that at all. She does, none of those characters even show up in this book, so I thought that was kind of odd. But anyway, so that's that one as far as sacrifices are concerned. And yeah, it's a pretty decent book. Of course, now we have more questions because we thought that it was going to be pretty bad for these people, but now it's semi-good, could be leading into more bad. I don't know. I mean, just the fact that you were a sacrifice means that you're going to be killed. I mean, that's the definition of this thing, right? So unless you're being sacrificed for something, I don't know. How else could you be sacrificed if you're not killed? I don't know. So we'll see what happens, but I like the questions that are being asked at this point, and I'm interested to know what the answers are. So, yeah, I mean, you couldn't really make it unless you changed, I think I said this before, unless you changed the creatures to not be all these different types of things where everything had to be CGI, and you'd have to make them all kind of humanoid to a certain extent, where you could just have masks on them or whatever else. Or it's animated. That would be the only way to make it on any kind of budget. So let's move on to Void Rivals. This is by Kirkman. He's most famously known for writing The Walking Dead. So this is part of the Energon universe, meaning that IDW lost. They're also another publisher, if you're not familiar. They lost the license for Transformers and G.I. Joe, which is basically going to be putting them out of business. We're all wondering how long IDW is going to stay around with what they've got. But anyway, so Skybound picked up the licenses, and I just got the Transformers book, but I haven't read it yet. And the Transformers have been showing up in this book. I've been waiting for G.I. Joe. I'm way more of a G.I. Joe fan than I am a Transformers fan. So I've been waiting on that. But none of the G.I. Joes have showed up in Void Rivals, just the Transformers. So this is about a ring. Okay, it's like a ring in space, and it's divided in half. So you have two warring factions on this same ring. Okay, so they're fighting each other, and they're fighting over resources, and both the groups see like a meteor that they want to transform into water. So they send their best pilots out, except that they get into a fight and they both crash land. Both their ships are destroyed. So they have to work together. So I felt it was very Enemy Mine. And I thought that's where it was really going to go. But no, after the first issue, they were off the planet. They combined their ships together. They worked together. They got off the planet. Then they get tractor beamed into another ship. And they're first hunted by this creature, and then the creature ends up making a deal with them and says, "Yeah, if I give me your ship because it's got parts that I need, and you take this other ship." And they're like, yeah, sure, we're out. No problem. But the last issue pissed me off because they were heading back home and they were trying to figure out how to do this, how to drop each other off at their proper place. But nope, the female decides that she is going to electrocute him and put him unconscious and take him in as prisoner. Because when they took off their helmets, they realized that they were the same race. They thought each other, they'd never seen each other. The post races have never seen each other without their helmets. So they always thought that they were aliens of one another. But then they realized that they were the same species, and that's a secret that the leaders of each one of the races doesn't want anybody to know. So she takes this guy in as a prisoner, even though his hand droid, which I think is a really stupid name, tries to fight her, even though he's unconscious. It tries to use his body. Whatever. So she's the daughter of the king on one side, and he's the son of the king on the other side. And he's, taken into custody. And then the king asks his daughter, did you see him without his helmet? And once he realizes, even though she has an answer, he realized that he has, that you want to keep that secret, she throws him in prison with her. So, or her in prison with him, I should say. The artwork is not great. I really am not a fan of this artwork. And then one of the Transformers does show up in here. He tries to sell the other alien to the Decepticon. And the Decepticon's like, yeah, I don't need it. Yeah, you just take him away. And so this is where he asked her if he had seen and without the helmet on, and she doesn't really answer. If you look on the bottom there, she basically says nothing. 3 dots. And then the next thing she knows, she's thrown in there with him. Serves her right, really, because she could have handled this a bunch of different ways. And then here's the little twist, is that he goes into a communication, the king, but he goes into communication with the other king. So this war was all really a facade, and he basically disavows his son and says, do whatever you got to do with him. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting to see what will happen. I think this would make a really good film or television show. I would watch it. It's gotten, I thought they were going to stay on the planet the whole time. And now by issue 4, we've had all these twists and turns and all this stuff going on, where we've led the characters through this whole arc already. And I think she realizes that she's made a mistake now, and she should have, stayed with him or figured out another thing to do other than bringing him back. So, exciting stuff. So let's just do a recap here. So, starting out with Void Rivals. I'm going to say yes to Void Rivals. I like where this is going. So let's put that up there. Sacrificers, number 2. I like where this is going too. That would be interesting, but it'd be very hard to make a live action out of it. Avengers, number 5. Hell no. Hell no, hell no. Titans number 3. I'd love to see a good Titan show. This could possibly work. I'd like to see where this storyline goes. Again, not a fan of Tom Taylor. And Superman. I like Superman as well. It's overpriced, but at least with the storyline, and I like what they're doing with Lois and stuff like that. I do miss the fact that John Kent is grown up now. They should have left him as a child. Bendis screwed that completely up because the kid stuff works. Superman as a father figure really works. So I missed that when Jurgens was doing it. So, Bendis, you suck. Okay, so let's just recap my own stuff real quick. Remember, I am an award-winning screenwriter and a novelist and a comic book writer myself. And this is my most recent novel, Tales of Ravenor, The Iron Witch. It is my first fantasy novel, and I've been getting some really good feedback on it. It's got a whole new magic system in it, and it has plenty of cultures and twists and turns and good villains and all that stuff. And then my own comics. This is my sci-fi. Destiny Aurora. It's been made into a board game and a RPG. It is also 4 novels. This is an adaptation of the first novel. And you can see the artwork's pretty good. It's got plenty of space battle and androids and aliens and a big fat twist that comes up in the book itself as well. So excited for everybody to read that. It's lots of fun. And if you see the twist coming, let me know. And then my vampire mob in the 50s, Lords of LA, following the story of Lena, who was turned into a vampire and had to leave her newly born son for the fact that she might eat it. So to protect it, she left the city and the state, and she comes back 60 years later seeking revenge on those who turned her and destroyed her life, and at the same time trying to reconnect with now her grandson. So interesting stuff. But thank you so much for watching up to this point. I really appreciate it. Remember to like and subscribe. I am trying to grow the channel out, so give me the thumbs up, give me the middle finger, whatever turns you on. And remember also that I'm going to have more videos pop up over here. Take a look at some of my past stuff. I do movie reviews. I do, of course, comic reviews. And also, I'm going to board game playthroughs. There's a few of them on there, although I haven't had time to do any recently. Issue 2 of Lords of LA will be coming up on Kickstarter hopefully shortly. I am now working on a new card game with Mark Spears, who does classic monster movie art, and we're doing a card game, and I've been working on that pretty much nonstop. All right, again, thank you all so much for watching, and you have an awesome